Woman! This is Another Woman in Time with Tiffany, and today we're taking a look into the life and times of Lerline Gandy, affectionately known to many as Mom, Grandma, Nanny, Sister Gandy, and Mother Gandy. In 2017, I had the honor of sitting down with my grandmother, having a rare conversation where I learned so much about this extraordinary woman of faith who is filled with love and compassion for everyone she meets. Coming up in this episode,
and he is known to just get out of the bus and say, "Don't you never!" and they were whizzing by, so he never got to finish saying, "Don't you never live." And when that summons come to join that innumerable caravan which moves to that mysterious realm where each shall take his chamber in that silent halls of death. That will not like a forest slave at night scorched but sustained, soothed, and involved.
This explains so much.
You're now watching Lerline Gandy, blessed and highly favored. Lerline Snell was born on August 7, 1932, in a little town in eastern Texas called Burkeville, which lies on the Texas-Louisiana border. With its current population of about 1,800 residents, you can imagine what it was like when Lerline was a girl.
I could walk to town. Everybody knew everybody.
Although her father, David Cecil Snell Jr., had several other children, she was the only child that he and her mother, Justine Brown, had together. Her grandparents, Terry and Wayne, raised Lerline in their home.
Mom was Justine.
Right.
What was she like?
It's not really a homebody, and she did not live when I was with my grandmother. She was living in a town called Beaumont, in Texas, of course. She liked to cook, and she, at that time, was cooking in a cafe, a restaurant type thing. As a matter of fact, she even brought some of her skills to California.
Now, did your mom have siblings? Well,
Yeah, she had siblings. She had two sisters and two brothers. And one sister is still alive. She lives in Houston, Texas. The other sister is deceased, and her brother is deceased. As a matter of fact, the younger brother and the youngest child passed away at a very early age. He was just in high school.
and then what about your dad?
Father, his family, his sisters, and da 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 da. My uncle, who was my grandmother's brother, who lived next door. They were all school teachers. My uncle was principal of the school, and my grandmother, of course, was one of the teachers. My dad was a teacher and a coach, and one of his sisters was a teacher. As a matter of fact, she was my fifth grade teacher. And Uncle Rupert, who was a music teacher, and it was just a family of teachers. One of my siblings lived in Oakland, and she was found killed in her kitchen. And she worked for the Oakland school system. The other sister lives in Houston, sort of in touch with each other. Not really. Then the boys, uh, one lives in Houston, and I'm not sure where the other one is at this time, but one lives in Houston. As a matter of fact, when Raw first moved to Houston, he was doing some door-to-door type stuff for some company, and he he went to the uncle's house. I mean, he didn't know who he was. It was really sort of interesting. And when he introduced himself, the lady of the house introduced herself as being so-and-so Snell. And so he said, "Oh, that was my mom's maiden name, you know." So she, so she ran into the back and called her husband out and said, "Come, come, come." You know. My grandmother was, as I said, she was a school teacher. She was as caring as the next person. She would give her shoes off her feet to someone who needed it. And she was active in the community. Everybody knew her and respected her as Miss Brown. Her name was Cherry Brown. As a matter of fact, I almost said that she's still alive, but she's not alive. And the reason that I said that is the one daughter, my mother's sister, who lives in Houston, is a spitting image of her. I was called Sissy. Sissy. Okay. And that was really a name that my grandfather gave me because he was very fond of me, and he just loved me to death. And I could do no wrong. And he did not. He was a sort of I would not call him a rolling stone. But he would go to other parts of Texas to work, and when he would come home, he would sit on the porch, and anybody that was passing by, he would engage in conversation. And it was near time to eat. He would call them in, come in and eat, and wow. So that meant that my grandmother had to, prepare food for these people.
Lerline describes the family's lifestyle as comfortable. As the only child in the home, she had to use her imagination when it came to having fun.
For fun, about the only thing that there was to do was just do childhood stuff, like going out in the backyard or in the yard next door or in the field, get things to make dolls. I don't know. I know that you don't know about a corn silk doll.
That sounds fancy.
you use a soda bottle or any bottle, and you get the husk from the corn. That's the hair. And you stick it down.
Maybe not so fancy.
And you stick it down in the bottle, and then you have your doll. That's a doll.
Well, they were custom made, so
yes.
I guess that's fancy.
So yeah, that's what we played with. And of course, we did have dolls that were commercial, and so I did a lot of playing by myself. But my major interest was reading.
What was your favorite book?
Any book that I could pick up. And I like to clean the bookcase out, and because I would just sit there and go through all the books and put them back and read them over and over. And as a matter of fact, by the time that I started school, I could read everything that a first grader could do, maybe even second grader.
Armed with a love for reading and a circle of educators surrounding her, young Lerline was well equipped to begin her scholastic journey.
I had to take the school bus to go to school. I did, because we did not have a school in Burkeville. Black folk did not have a school in Burkeville. Our school was in Weirgate, which is another community that was a sawmill town. And we took the bus to school in Weirgate. My uncle was a bus driver. I saw him every day. Mother and I would, go across the road, and he would pick us up. He'd take us to school. And it was, he was he was well liked, and everybody, of course, knew Professor Brailsford. His name was Artie Brailsford, and he was called Professor Brailsford. Lived in that community. It was a lot of white people, white folks, and we would have to cross the road to go and get on the bus, and a lot of times the motorists would just fly past and ignore the fact that we would attempt to cross the road. And he is known to get out of the bus and say, "Don't you never!" and they were whizzing by, so he never got to finish saying, "Don't you never!"
Whiz by again.
It was really, those are kind of the things I remember. I loved school.
What was your favorite subject?
Everything. Especially reading. Attendance, and my grades were perfect. My cousin, who lived next door, my uncle's son, and we were very competitive. And we would outdo each other to make sure that, we got everything just so. But in the end, I was the valedictorian of the class.
What were you like in high school?
Still my little Karen self. And I played basketball. That's one thing I did.
You were on the team. What position?
Of course, my dad was the coach.
Were you good?
Yeah, I was good.
Okay.
And then I was I was a majorette. I was also just so caring for people. As I said, where the school was a sawmill town, and all sawmill towns have a commissary. And people had accounts at the commissary, so you just go and get what you wanted and charge it to the person. So, of course, my grandmother had an account at the commissary. So at lunchtime, all these underprivileged, for the lack of a better term, kids, I would take them to the commissary.
Stand in line.
And get what we had. I guess we got fruit and stuff to make sandwiches and stuff like that. And we took care of that. And so he, fortunately, well, the owner of the commissary was a white man, of course, but the person that was working there was black. So he would not charge, everything. But he would just,
As long as they were with you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You put it on your tab.
Put it on. Sometimes the kids that lived up in the woods that came down to school, they would have lunch, and it might be in a bucket, pail, and the back portion of the school was high. It was elevated. And as a matter of So these kids were under there with these buckets of stuff that might just have biscuits and syrup and whatever in it. And of course, I would feed them. I always wanted to bring some of these kids home. So,
Talk about making life better for other people.
I mean, that's just me. I mean,
Right.
I've always done that. It's just part of me.
That's awesome. Do you remember having a favorite teacher?
Yes, that would be my English teacher. As a matter of fact, uh, some of the things that she taught literature as well, and I learned a lot of the poems and readings that I do now, and I remember them even then.
What's your favorite one?
My favorite one is from Thanatopsis. So live, that when thy summons come to join that innumerable caravan which moves to that mysterious realm, where each shall take his chamber in the silent halls of death. Thou wilt not like a forest slave at night scorched to his dungeon, but sustained and soothed by an unfaltering trust. Approach thy grave like one who wraps the drapery of his couch about him and lies down.
After graduating from high school at the tender age of 16, Lerline continued her education 2.5 hours from home at an HBCU, Prairie View A&M. It was there that she met her longtime best friend, who would also become the godmother to my father, Terrell, Janice Taylor. During her years away in college, Lerline's love for people did not waver.
Even in college, my grandmother would send the check. She sent tuition. Justine would send me cash, send me money for spending money. And when I would get that spending money, I would take my roommates to the rec, and we would eat my money gone. And I would not have money to buy soap to take a bath with. Nothing. I mean, it would just be gone. And they, of course, would have their stuff locked up in their locker, But then Lord was, he's always made a way. So my cousin's girlfriend worked at the BX, exchange, whatever it was called. And I would say, for instance, if you needed some soap, you would give me the money to go buy your soap. So I would go to the store with the money for this soap, get my supplies,
Get the free soap.
and the only money that I had to spend for all this that I had bought for myself was this money that you gave me for your soap.
We all know that you are a member of a sorority. What is the official name of the sorority?
Beta Pi Sigma sorority.
Different sororities that you could join. Why that one?
Actually, it's not a Panhellenic sorority. It's a business and professional women's organization. And it's not university or college affiliated. And it was founded in 1945 in Los Angeles by two professional women. So
Lerline graduated at 20 with a degree in elementary education and a minor in library science. Because of her young age, Grandma Terry thought it would be best for Lerline to take some time off to mature before entering the workforce. She suggested that she go to California to visit her mom, Justine, for the summer, as she had done so many times previously. Although she enjoyed spending time with her parents in California, she soon learned that their normal routine didn't stop just because she was in town, They continued going to work every day, which meant she was home alone and she soon became bored.
I was not content just to do nothing. So I enrolled in Contra Costa College. And they had nothing to offer me that I had not already taken. So I took uh, archery. I think I had a typing class or something, just something to fill my time.
And speaking of fulfilling time, during that summer, Lerline spent time with a young man she had met years before by the name of Thomas Gandy Jr.
When I was 14, I came out one summer in the apartment complex, in the apartment building that my husband and his brother, well, actually his brother lived up there, and his brother and my stepdad were good friends. Actually, he's 7 years older than I am, so back when I came out here after I got out of college, he and my mom and stepdad were still friends. So we decided we went to the movies or something, just sort of, you know, hanging out like that. I like to eat, of course, so we would go and eat. I know. Speaking of eating, we went to this Chinese restaurant over in Berkeley, and I ordered whatever I ordered. And I asked the lady, I said, "Can I have some gravy for
my compound chicken?"
Can I have some gravy for my white rice? So that meant that I had not had Chinese food. I had not eaten Chinese food. I wanted some gravy for my rice.
That's funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Although they went on a few dates while she was in California, Lerline considered her relationship with Thomas nothing more than a summer fling, and she decided it was time to return to Texas to begin her career. Although it was almost guaranteed that she was destined to be an educator like many of our other family members, ultimately she decided that being an educator wasn't for her. During this time, Lerline and Thomas remained in close contact. He would write her love letters every day, and although she later learned that he had paid servicemen to write those letters, he had already captured her heart by pouring into her love for reading, and soon she decided that he was the one. It was through those many letters that Thomas convinced her to return to California to become his wife. They were married on January 26, 1953.
And he was friends with your mom and stepdad, so did they have any objections to it, or they?
That's another story of how that came into play. That day that we got married, we just went to the courthouse. And we were just going to get. I thought, I guess he did too, but we were just going to get the license. So the judge was in his chamber. He said,
You want to? Sure.
I don't care. I don't care.
I have nothing else to do.
So the judge came out, Judge Jacoby, and performed the ceremony. So first thing that she would do was look on top of the refrigerator, see if there was a nail there, and go into the refrigerator. I mean, that was just, just a daily routine. Anime, the girl's name was Anime and Sam. So I said, why don't you go over there and tell her you want some ice?
Lead her to where she needs to go.
Tell her you want some ice. So she went to the refrigerator. She was humming and singing and going. I said, did you, I don't know what he said, well, we got married and did you see or whatever. Yeah, yeah, so we got through that, I guess, night or whatever I got, so I could go to his apartment.
Consummate your marriage.
Put out about it, as I said, she worked in San Francisco. She had put her coat and shoes and stuff on over her underwear and was at the bus stop and looked down and did that.
You had her all discombobulated.
Totally out of whack. So I think after that, she said, there was nothing to do all day. So there again, I took up with the kids in the neighborhood. And every day, I would go to the market, to the store, to get whatever we had for dinner. That was dead. And these kids lined up waiting for me to go and come back from the store to bring them goodies. By the time he would come home from work, I would have his shower ready, the food ready, and so he could take his shower and eat, and we could get away from there.
The newlyweds' daily routine would soon change. Almost 9 months to the day after their wedding day, they welcomed their firstborn child, my father, Terrell Renee. Next came Thomas Wayne, who passed away 4 hours after birth, and then Jacqueline Kay, Thomas Mark, Tanya Monique, Francis Lecedra, Raul Martinique, Ellen Elise, and Nicole Lynette.
How would you describe your way of disciplining? Or was there?
That don't recall having to do a lot of physical chastisement. I did my chastisement with my eyes.
You give them a look. Uncle Marcus. So you gave them the death stare and they got it together real quick.
I tried to train my children to be well-mannered, well-behaved, and respectful. I never allowed them to go in public looking like little cougars. They had to be, depending on what the occasion was. That's why it's so difficult for me to accept how some of the children are allowed to, present themselves in public. It sort of irritates me, really. It's so ingrained in me of how they are to behave. And there's no place. My children were exposed to everything that we this announcement test, and my aunt, the one who lives in Houston, who was the daughter, she took the test too, and I don't know who else, but I know the two of us took the test, and I, of course, passed the test, and I believe they said I was the number one on the list.
Lerline took great joy and pride in treating people with dignity and respect, no matter their race, economic status, or rank.
And the care that I had for the clients, I had the same care for employees, to the extent that I wanted people to be their best, to be the best that they could be. And I have had people here to train them. And not only did I have my black people, but I've even had white young man who felt that I could help him to succeed.
Lerline retired from the Unemployment Insurance Department of EDD in 1985 after working there for 25 years. After retirement, Lerline transitioned into her role as Sister Gandy alongside Thomas, Elder Gandy, who had become the pastor of Miracle Temple Apostolic Church.
My total surrender of my life to Christ as I know him today. There was a time that I thought that I was on the right track, doing the right thing, but it was not complete until I accepted him according to his will, and that is to be baptized in his name and to honor him as the head of my life.
Elder Gandy served actively as pastor for 12 years and as pastor emeritus for 2 years before his passing on July 24, 2002. The couple would have been married for nearly 50 years.
There was lots of things that I admire about you, but one of the things that sticks out is your love for people. And it doesn't matter who they are, what they've done, you embrace them. How do you do that? Knowing that someone is not the best of person or people, but you still find a way to love on them.
I think that goes to my faith. What can I say?
Yeah. I mean, that's what Christ wants us to do.
Right.
You're a living example of how to do it. Your favorite. What is something now that you enjoy doing?
Feeding people.
Still.
I would like people to remember me as I have lived before them and what influence I've had on their lives.
Is there any questions that you guys have for Nanny? Burning question that you always want to know. Now's the time.
This is a family home, and it has been a refuge for many people. I probably can't even remember all of the people that have come through this house. think people can feel the love that I have for people, regardless of where I am, uh, what a situation is. I feel people are drawn to me for that reason. You know, people are kind to me. You know, even I guess they feel that warmth and motherly, yeah, from me. I mean, people that are just out on the street who call me mother, who refer to me as mother.
It's been a pleasure getting to know you better and finding out stuff I had no idea about. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity.
Heights of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing leaves behind us footprints on the sand of time. Footprints of perhaps another sailing o'er life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, seeing from take home. Tell me not in mournful numbers life is but an empty dream, and the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not the goal. Dust thou art to dust returneth was not spoken of the soul. Not enjoyment, not in pleasure